All right, we're live.
it.
We're having our second dance party with Jeremy Packer. Okay, I'm just to get straight to it. So, my name is Brittany Brainstorm. I am the owner of the creative agency Brainstorm Boutique. I have my sister Casey with me tonight, and she is a designer as well, very talented, and a social media performance coach. But as we said last time that Jeremy was on the show, it's the Jeremy Packer show tonight. We are going to be talking about some really, really fun topics about apps and innovative technologies for small businesses. And to be honest, I know nothing about this stuff. So we're going to ask a lot of really dumb questions and we're going to have Jeremy to answer them. So, Jeremy, for anyone that didn't watch last time and who doesn't know you, I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself again.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Jeremy Packer. I am the founder of Packer Labs. We are a mobile development agency focused on custom web solutions, mobile apps, basically anything that revolves around code, automation, we work with. Caught me off guard with introducing myself. That was so hard. But currently serving as the CTO of Lineup Media Group, a diversified holding company in Edwardsville, focusing on esports, streaming audio, and fintech, and consulting with Packer Labs. So have the privilege of helping small businesses launch big ideas.
Love it. We're like, we align so well. So I'm just always excited. Obviously, we try to chat sometimes throughout the week. So very excited to have you back on here. So last time we talked about all kinds of stuff and we never got to talk about apps, like briefly. We dusted across to apps, but we didn't really get in depth with it. So I don't even know where to start. And Casey, you butt in anytime with any questions, but I just want to say, tell us, what's apps? The most basic foundation of apps. I know what I have on my phone, but as far as knowing how to integrate that with business, I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. So just like the software that we're using right now on our computers, of course, they run on our phones too. Usually apps are kind of micro versions of software. We kind of think of, these big packages of lots of code, when in reality, most of the apps we use are probably, very small. Nowadays, it's easier than ever to get into the mobile space, and every business has, their different needs. For instance, if you look at companies like Domino's, their main goal is to get a pizza into your hands and your money into their wallet as fast as possible. That's why you have easy picks, you have easy orders, you can text them pizza emojis. It streamlines their business. And in return, it's kind of a culture effect. It's like, oh, wow, they're doing this cool thing. Let me try it. But then it also costs you $15 plus delivery. So, I think, just in the pizza space, there's obviously so many other spaces for apps that, we're just still kind of breaking through the barrier.
Wow. Okay. So for example, if you're a boutique and you had your own app, you could have it to where it did a push notification, right? So if you got a bunch of new arrivals, instead of waiting for people to get your email or see your social media posts, you could just have them to have the app on their phone and you could contact them directly through that if Correct. They had that set, correct?
Correct. So there's kind of the mobile app playbooks, where if you look at apps like TikTok, you receive probably 3 notifications a day nudging you. And it's like, hey, pay attention to us. Hey, open this, check it out. And a lot of those big e-commerce brands are the same way, where it's like, hey, look at this new product. Look at this new bag. You're going to love it. And, you can even equip push notifications with images, or sometimes GIFs even of someone wearing a bag or, whatever it may be. If you have the pizza apps on your phone, notice around 10:30, 11 o'clock, you'll get hit with one. And especially as I'm talking about it, you'll go to Facebook and you'll see a Domino's ad after this. So sorry, listeners.
I love Domino's, so it's okay.
Yeah, Postmates hits you every time you've like ordered before, I've noticed that like whatever like my dinner time is, they like have picked up on it. And then that's whenever they
Yeah.
send me my Postmates, because it'll literally just be like, like I need to think about dinner. And then it'll be like, oh man, big deal, $1 off.
Yeah, and most people don't realize, but these big apps that they may look very simple, right? Like Uber, Postmates, it's so simple when you're using it, but the reality is there's hundreds of engineers in the background working on different pieces of it to make it even better. And to your point, Casey, like that use case was probably because of machine learning. There's algorithms that are analyzing your purchases, triggering which times that you need to spend, and then there's a value that tells the algorithm that, hey, Casey may want this around 10:30 today. Let's try. And every time you activate that, it increases that interval even more. So you're gonna spend money with Postmates this year.
Wow.
Yeah, I have, and I love it, and I do use the promo codes. It's like one of like those kinds of apps. They just get me. They understand me.
Yeah.
I like them. They use the language I like. It's just very, very easy sell for me.
I love that. Mauricia Lumpkin left a comment. She says she's watching from Michigan tonight, by the way. And
Awesome.
Mauricia, she started her own online women's clothing boutique called Rose Colored Shop. And she has a lot of really really beautiful styles, and she's new to the industry and she's building her inventory. So actually, just let's just use her as example, Jeremy. If Mauricia wanted to incorporate an app into her business, I don't know if you want to think of it at the scale she's at now or possibly where she wants to be, but how could someone like her use an app for their business?
Yeah, so I think in the prime example of the industry that we're in, especially in the boutique space, where if you're, let's say we're looking at like a glamour brand, something that's a little more upscale, high end. I'm not sure exactly what Mauritia's audience is, but the idea is that if you shop somewhere that has a mobile app, you feel that they're established. You feel that there's a connection to that brand that, you have this connection to that's different than just someone going into a normal shop. And it's those same types of things that local businesses have a really hard time imitating. And Shopify has like lowered that bar for a lot of people, where there's a level of professionalism right out of the gate that allows people to be successful right out of the gate, where it's just like, I don't trust this website. The themes kind of do a good job at that. So, from a mobile app standpoint, if you have a mobile app that's branded super nice to your, to your company, to your clothes, I guarantee you that people are going to be browsing your collections a lot more because it's more accessible. It's one click away. You talk about the push notifications, sending people to your new styles, saying that other people in their network have liked these things. There's so many different things you can do. But also, that luxury feel. Personally, I think if I had an app, I would charge a little more for my clothes. I'm not.
Well, it elevates the brand, right?
It does.
When you elevate the brand, you can also elevate the price with that, because it has a certain, just a certain feel and a certain attitude that comes with it. When you show yourself, present yourself as a high-end brand, then you get to have high-end prices.
Right.
Especially when you're offering that level of accessibility. There's definitely cost, advantages, and there should be a premium for accessibility and for having things easy for people to access into. I'm kind of saying the same thing, but like just to go ahead and do that whole streamlined process right from their phone without having to search and all that. We're in a world where people don't want to waste time, right? Because time is money. If you buy something quick, Mauricia, she left a comment and said, "Oh, I love that. Thank you for your input." Well, we appreciate you watching tonight. Thank you so much. If you have any other questions for Jeremy while we're talking about apps and these things, please leave them. I know I don't know all the questions to ask him, but we're going to do our very best tonight. But yeah, I love that idea for that. What are some other spaces that you see the use of apps in for small businesses?
Yeah, so I think especially in the age of COVID, where we've had this social distancing, where like reservations and time slots have become such a thing, where it's like we need to keep isolating like things going, but we also need to keep the chains moving. People coming in, people coming out, and I think that we've seen. I mean, push notifications can be triggered a lot of different ways. And I'm a big fan of iBeacons, which are these little Bluetooth boxes that you can place inside of rooms. And depending on how close you get to these devices, you can actually trigger notifications based on that.
What?
So one thing that I was trying a few years ago with Life at Southern is if you would walk into, Saluki Bar or Hangar 9, we had geofences at the time where you would get a push notification and it says, "Hey, welcome to Levels. Check out tonight's specials."
Right there on your phone.
Click it right on your phone, and it would take you into the app.
Okay, and it was because they had the app on the phone that triggered that notification, or
based on their location of this beacon inside of the geofence.
Yeah.
So like if they were like a couple blocks down, as long as it was in the geofence, it would trigger that. Like they didn't have to be inside.
Correct. They could be walking by. And that's prompts, that walking traffic. Another example is, imagine if you're walking by a rival shoe store and the shoe store notices that you're by your rival and it prompts you. It says, "Hey, you have 10 minutes to get to our store. You have a 40% coupon." And as you're getting closer to that store, that coupon is declining. So now you're rushing to get there and you end up with a 10% coupon, which is standard, yet you feel like you won something because you just ran to get this deal, but also because you were rewarded for this action that you took in real life, that gamification. And it's huge.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, so here's another dumb question. Is this something where someone can get like a third party thing to do this, or is this something that's best if someone's like, "Hey, I want to hire someone like Packer Labs to build us a custom app and do all these different things and all these different triggers"? Like, is that the kind of stuff that you guys do, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we are a startup agency. And what I say that is we try to get people to the market as soon as possible and as fast as possible. And, sometimes that's not the most profitable for us, but we're in the business of building businesses. And because of that, we know that we're building relationships that the work is going to come again. So as we're building these things, sometimes it makes sense for people to buy, templates. Maybe they don't need a complete custom website. Custom websites are pretty costly, and if they're an established brand, then they absolutely need that. They can invest that money into it. If you're trying to validate an idea, a $50, WordPress theme might do the trick. So it really just depends on, the needs of the business. A lot of the apps that we do work on, usually we can't white label, just because of IP, because of things that we need to do. Let's see. I'm trying to think of, we have a lot of NDAs because of the nature of the business, but so SI Eclipse, for instance, which was the app that we launched for, Southern Illinois Eclipse. We built it on both Android and iPhone, and we built it in 2.5 months, which was a very aggressive timeline. And if you've ever seen the app, we worked with Brennan Keeling, or Brennan Kahn, from BrennanKahn.com, who was a former Disney illustrator. So we had this beautiful illustration, really geared at family-oriented designs, and that was completely custom built. Where it was just this software did everything that we needed it to do. We probably could have, made a white label solution work for it, but it wouldn't have been as pretty. And it didn't feel like ours. So, we took the chance and, we made it work. There are a lot of times where white labels do make sense, and there's also the difference between native apps and hybrid apps, which just to kind of get into. So native apps are basically your Android apps or your iPhone apps. Those are the apps that are built with the native languages for those phones. And there are now software technologies out there that allows you to build with one code base and kind of deploy to all devices.
Wow.
Which is obviously really helpful. Saves a lot of money, a lot of time, because you only have to build it once instead of twice.
Wow.
And, we're actually deploying a cross-platform app right now, and we're about 2 months ahead of schedule simply because of not having to do the things that we're normally doing at that native level.
Wow.
So
that's really interesting. Not to cut you off, but I got a question from Mauricia.
Yeah.
I love that she's watching, she's listening and applying it to her business. She asked, would it make more sense for my business to invest in an app versus have a website with a platform like Wix?
So when you're dealing with companies like Shopify, for instance, if you do have an online store, one of the biggest things about apps and app cost is dealing with the infrastructure. It's delivering like the products, it's handling the sales, kind of the brains of the app. Well, with Shopify, the brains are already done. And they actually have public facing APIs or application programming interfaces that allow developers like me to access Shopify and access that data and manipulate it to what I need. So, there's actually even white label solutions out there that, you could buy that it's, you have a Shopify store, you want to make an app for it, $1,000 and you'll have an app. It won't be the prettiest and it probably won't be completely custom to you. But then that's when we come in and we can kind of tweak and do that. So it depends on where you're at. I think websites, a lot of people still shop online as long as it's mobile friendly. It's not going to cost you any money. It's just harder to reach for the app than it is to reach for the website.
Yeah. On that note, it's still, I feel like, valuable to have a website because you get the SEO and like people who are searching for you and that sort of thing. People still need to know you exist. I think there's definitely, I think it depends on what level you're at. So like for Mauricia, for example, I think the platform you're on currently is a great way to get started, right? To just start selling product, establish your credibility, establish your brand. But then as you're able to move on to a different platform, I know I really do like Shopify for e-commerce. There's lots of options out there, right? Like you could do things in a lot of different ways, but knowing that it has that ability then for someone like Jeremy to step in and create an app for you, it's just knowing that you're on the right platform to level up to that next space when you're wanting to do an app. So Jeremy, your opinion, do you think it's better for someone to start with a website and then do an app, or do you think just app? Like what's your opinion since you are in this space?
It really depends on what you want to do. There are some cases that, websites just don't really make sense, like Uber, for instance. You wouldn't really go to a website to rideshare or to get something on demand. But it does make sense for like Grubhub or Postmates, where it's so accessible. I think with e-commerce, even mobile apps have websites. So that's the thing too. It's, you have to have a website. An app is kind of optional in some degrees, but you need to have both eventually. And the website will promote the ecosystem into the app, and the app promotes the content from the website and, the content matrix. So.
I love that. That's
I think
that's
a good boutique for Mauricia to look at that is kind of like probably has like a little bit further, but it's like pretty comparable, I think, and like as far as like how much inventory they have and all that jazz is called Gray Bandit. They have a website that pushes you to their app, and their app is pretty nice. They do not have as good a photography as she has. But I think
she has really good photography.
She has really good photography, and I think it would look really beautiful in a space like that eventually, like as she starts like growing even more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's called Gray Bandit.
Is that GRAY or EY?
Oh Lord, let me look. I downloaded the app.
Okay.
One sec.
Actually, in the case we're done with an E. Okay.
Oh my gosh, where did I go? Okay, here we go. It's Gray with an E. Gray Bandit. It's like, I feel like it would be a really good like comparable, like this is what a boutique that's not like, it's not like Michael Kors, you know, it's like they're a boutique with like comparable kind of clothing and stuff like that she has. But I like her clothes more, but I'm just saying, I was like,
we do love
know that app exists. Yeah, it's really beautiful.
So Mauricia says, haha, I love it. Thank you. Thank you for watching. We appreciate it. We have another question here, and Jeremy, so I think this was what you were talking about before we started talking about if an app made sense for Mauricia. Stephen Hagine says, what's it built off of, Flutter or React Native? Okay, I don't know what he's talking about, so I'm going to let you talk.
So both of those are programming languages.
Okay.
And both of them are kind of those hybrid, mixtures of the two. So React Native is actually what Facebook uses. So if you've ever seen their mobile apps and their website, a lot of that is based on React. And the idea with that programming language, it's really geared at kind of like, I do this action, it reacts back to me. And when you're dealing with engagement or social media, that kind of makes sense instead of normal code where it's just, this runs and it runs in a line and then it's done. So we're using Flutter. We've kind of gone all in on it just because it seems really promising. So Flutter.
I like the way it sounds too.
Yeah.
Me too. It's cute.
It is cute.
One of the nicest apps I've seen recently was the Hamilton app it was built in Flutter.
Okay.
So something to note. You can't really tell the difference when you're actually dealing with the phone unless you know what you're looking for. But it's just kind of like a bad experience, It's like you don't know something sucks until you have to go through it. And it's like, wow, this is bad. So
I want to do a little comment on Hamilton because we actually have a Saluki who plays Eliza in one of the traveling Hamilton shows. So I know there's quite a few of them. But
you're talking about the Hamilton?
Yeah,
like
Hamilton,
the show.
like, yeah. We have. So, anyways, we're like, we can claim her. We can claim like almost like however many degrees to fame, right? Because she's a Saluki, so that's pretty. Anytime I can add a Saluki somewhere, I will. But yeah, she does the traveling show. And all
That's
that.
awesome.
Sonia Miller says hi, and she's with Luna Silk Beauty. I think Jeremy, you ended up talking to her from not too long after we had her on the show, because she has a really nice website and sells her products as well. So, okay, give an example. You know what? Anyone who comments who has a business, we're going to use you as an example for how an app can be useful for you. So, Jeremy,
don't be scared.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared to comment. It's good. It's good to have. We're brainstorming. Come on. It does. We haven't really got to be. I feel like this kind of playful in a conversation with the comments. So, Jeremy, how would you see Sonia using something like an app for her business?
Yeah, I think especially when you're dealing with the handmade items that you kind of have the idea of how long it's going to take for someone to use, and start, to Casey's point, he starts to build that profile, you know, where it's like they go through this product in 3 weeks.
Yes.
Let's send them a notification. It's like that moisturizer is running low.
Oh.
You know, here's 5% off.
So that's what Lush is doing. Oh my gosh.
There's a reason why you're
I've
getting
gotten
those
so
points.
got.
I love that. That's a great idea. So
That's so
something.
smart.
Okay, because this is out of my wheelhouse. That's something like you would work with the business owner to figure out. Oh, Sonia commented. She goes, "Oh, dang, that sounds fabulous." Yes, it does. You got your guy right here to talk to. So
She can figure out every time somebody takes a shower after she buys shower steamers, and then
That's
after
Oh my
every shower,
gosh.
like, buy another shower steamer.
Hey,
Get on it.
they can't be that expensive.
No. Okay, so
Yeah, they're not. They're great.
I haven't gotten mine yet. Sonia, I'm gonna see you next week. I have things to get from you. Shower steamer's one of them. So my question then, Jeremy, is how, like, is this something then that you sit down, like, if Sonia's like, "Hey, Jeremy, you want an app?" Then you're like gonna sit down with her and be like, what do you want to do? How do you want to communicate with them? Is that like stuff you can figure out ahead of time and you write that in, or how does this kind of work for us normal people?
Yeah, so you know, these features that I'm kind of just going off, you know, on off the hot seat right now.
Yes.
These are what we would call bells and whistles.
Okay.
You know, so it's like the features that, you know, it would be nice to have, but we would focus on like the basics of being able to purchase something from your phone first, being able to view your products, being able to connect with, you know, Sonia or whoever it may be, straight from the app. You know, it's about kind of, it really depends on the brand's goals too. You know, do you want more engagement with your clients? You know, do you want a reward system? Do you want, you know, just marketing? Do you want this app to be a utility for people? Do you want them to use it every day? There's a lot of different use cases for that. And depending on how you want to make money with the app changes everything as well. So, you know, you can imagine that there is quite the world of apps and the different use cases for them in terms of, you know, what's possible. So it's hard to say. You know, most of the time when we're approached with apps, you know, like in full transparency, we probably take 3 out of every 10 app proposals that we get, you know, pitched. And, you know, it's not because people don't have the money to pay. It's because we can't conceptualize and get requirements down enough to where it makes sense.
Okay.
And in most cases, you know, it's not just software anymore. You know, like every business has become a tech business, and software runs, you know, the world. And whether it's automation through, you know, your business, like the tasks that you need, or it's an app that allows you to connect with your customers in order for your business to fulfill something, you know. But there's always going to be a team of people working behind the scenes to ensure that the app is doing what it needs to do, from not only the technical side, but also like the business operations side, the support side, you know, making sure that someone isn't getting extra like empanadas with their Grubhub promo codes, you know, those types
Why not?
Right.
That's really interesting. So, okay, then this is my question. I love that you're just having a candid conversation because we didn't plan any questions. You really have no idea what we're asking you. So any question you don't want to answer, you just say, I don't want to answer that tonight. But I am curious, like, what would be something that would make you go, this would not be an accepted app for my business to work on? Like, what's something that's just like, you know, we're going to have to pass on that for now?
Yeah, so one case, like financial apps, for instance, you know, it's not a matter of that we're not capable of doing it, but it's a lot of pressure and risk to put on, you know, a team of 5 engineers. You know, someone wanted kind of a Mint clone recently, and, you know, Mint is owned by Intuit. So you can imagine that they're not going anywhere. And as much as we would have loved to take, the $50,000 to $100,000 that it probably would have cost.
Wow.
It is just something that, it would have been a sour conversation eventually, and it just wasn't worth it for us, and we told the client that. There are things that I believe in moonshots. I love ambitious ideas, and I love hustlers. Like, if someone comes to me with industry experience and they're like, I have an idea to change the industry, then I always listen, because that's when you get the dangerous combos. When you have industry experience meet tech talent, that's when things happen.
Wow. That's such a great point, because I'll just say, like, from my end, with my business, there are times that I have to tell people, that I can't take them on because I don't feel like they're at that stage in their business yet to, like, invest in certain things. And I don't feel good taking people's money for something I feel like they're not ready for yet, or is going to become something down the road that they're going to be unsatisfied with, especially if it's something that has a lot of hoops to jump through. So just knowing, like, a financial app, like, that's going to have that's just going to have a lot of red tape, I feel like, even with something like that.
It is. And the operation side of it, the legal side, drafting end user agreements, the security aspects of it, the list goes on and on. And for most people, there's some products that require you need to start a team for, where it's like, I am growing my executive team. We're going to build this app together. And there's a really good book called How to Build a $1 Billion App that kind of goes, in full detail about kind of the European Uber experience of how they scaled. It was called Halo, I believe, which is the Uber in Europe before they sold. But it really depends, because some companies, they can hire us, we can build their app, and they have everything that they need to run, and it's not a problem. The app doesn't need to evolve, but in most cases, especially when you're dealing with, like, consumers, we're so accustomed to change, and we want the newest update, that if you're not updating every week, every 2 weeks, something new for the users, you're, going to lose them. And it's,
So, so when you say something new, every week, whatever. So I'm going to go back to, like, Mauricia. If she had an app for the rose-colored shop, are you saying, like, new inventory, or are you saying, like, it needs to look new every time you come in, or, like, what would that mean for someone at that kind of business scale?
Yeah. So good question, because it's different than what I was thinking. For instance, so, like, apps like that, where her product is, clothing, it's inventory, so you wouldn't need to update the app to add new inventory. You would actually just upload it to Shopify, and it would pull automatically. So anytime you have a new product on Shopify, it's a new product on your app. And that new content obviously is great, because, the more content you have, it increases the more chance of exposure, the more people can see it. You can't get views if you don't give people things to look at. And that is, the big thing when it comes to content. So if you look at apps that, are, like, utility based, let's see, like your banking app, for instance, you're using it for one purpose, and it's to check your money. And you're not necessarily worried if there's updates about it unless it bugs out.
Yeah.
So, there's certain apps that you're looking for that kind of that change, like, especially in gaming, if you're like, every season there's a new change, in video games, and gamers are so eager to play the new thing. And it has become now to where if video games aren't releasing things, it loses their customers, because we're so accustomed to wanting the newest thing. And it's creating this evolving pattern. And it's very common in the Western states, in the Western, part of the world, us, where once we create a version 1 of something, we're already working on that version 1.1, that version 1.2. And it's never a, let's give this away for free. It's how we can make money off that next version. And, you know, because of that, mobile apps have to look at that way too. So a long-winded way to answer your question, depends on the market, depends on the app, depends on your customers.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it makes me think of Nike, like the Nike app.
So
I check it all the time and I buy from it often. I would say like now that you say it, I don't think I've ever opened up the Nike app and it have the same content on the first scroll page.
right.
Even though they don't release new shoes every day, but they're telling me what they're about to release. They're telling me about like their athletes that they have. They're showing me like a different picture of like movement. And in the Nike app, they know what sports they play, you know?
Yeah. And the more that you click around, the more their profile of you is getting more accurate too.
Yeah, and even if you go to a Nike store, something that I think is interesting, like the Nike store in on Michigan Ave, any of those like the big ones, they wind up somehow getting your information in the store, so that way you can save your shoes in the app that you tried on. They like want to know your email, they want to get a password, and they will actually, if your phone is dead, because I've had this experience. If your phone's dead or dying or you can't get reception, they will hand you an iPhone and you plug it all in for them. Yeah, they want it.
Oh my gosh, that's me. Okay, that's and they got the money to do that too.
They don't care. Yeah, they don't care if you buy shoes at the store anymore. What they really push for, the big one, you know, on Michigan Ave. Anytime I've ever gone in there, they've pushed me getting my information in the app and buying online for either pickup or delivery is like always what those workers used to be. And over the course of like 10 years, you know, you go in and they used to be like hornets, like buy now, buy now, buy now. But now it's more of an experience like, oh, hey, like, what's your email? What up, man? It's all cool. We're hip here. What's your email?
What's your pronoun? What do you want me to call you? You know, there's so many different things.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, Tim Cook is actually on the board of Nike, you know, so their connection with like Nike and Apple look it up. They're all connected. So,
whoa.
And
that makes
sense. You were mentioning the pickup. You know, if you've ever used like Walmart pickup before, you know, you use an app. They detect that you're nearby. You pick which number you're at, and it just, all they do is they use this app to place an order, and then this app facilitates communication between one of you and one of their workers to put stuff in your trunk. And that's it.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a use case for everything.
And they're getting that information, like what kind of food do we like to eat, right? Like how often do we buy paper towels? So this pandemic for these corporations has been a data mine, right? Like they have literally cashed in on our personal information, which I'll be honest with you, I actually don't care, because Facebook serves me exactly what I want when I'll just be living my life, and like Glazier's like, oh, are you out of solution for your face? And I was like, yes, I am actually. Like they know how often we buy it. Yeah. Yeah, we buy it around the same time, actually, Casey. I think we usually
we started buying it the same time.
Yeah. So
we synced up.
Sister talk. But it's, just knowing that, like, people can say like maybe maybe there was a loss in sales, right? But if you had an app or you had technology during this time, they actually got so much information from us. And so this year, they've had a whole year to learn us, right? And what we like and when we buy things and how often, that we probably have served them up with like the best data to really launch their businesses even further.
And if you think about us and the state that we were in, making these purchases and doing these Google searches, you know, they have us at almost every phase of our emotional state.
Wow.
You know, distressed.
Oh my
happy.
gosh.
And so as you apply that in machine learning to the millions of data points that they have on people, you know, predictive programming, predictive analysis of the future, all of this stuff is being done. It's out there. And that's a far conversation from the app one. But
so they knew when I needed ice cream, basically. They knew when I was stressed and just needed a pint of ice cream.
I'm sure they can predict what kind of ice cream you're going to like in 7 years. So
that's crazy. Okay, Sonia commented, she said, I'd love to fill people's trunks with Luna silk. Yes. Well, we got to think about an app for you.
We'll make it work.
Especially if people get on a subscription base with Luna Silk. I mean, okay, I'm going to talk about her for a second because she created the cutest. Oh, hang on, give me a second. We worked together, and she created me a little branded, my own little soap that I give to my clients called the Brainstorm Bar, and because all the best ideas happen in the shower, right? So anyways, you know, I told Sonia, and she created this for me, like the scent and everything. It's actually really nice. But like, I only use her products now because they really are the best. And I'm like, you know what, Sonia, maybe I do need to get on some kind of subscription package with you once I run out of my like extras of my Brainstorm Bar. But yeah, she's got great stuff. So I can totally see there being some use there.
I love my subscriptions.
You know, they make life so much
great.
easier.
I have everything on a subscription. Even Scoop's food is on a subscription.
Yeah. Well, I started getting the Billy razor on subscription, and I was like, oh, I don't know if this is, I'll try. It's only $9 a month, all right? So I was like, and then I set it for like every other month or whatever. Those things last forever. I've already gotten all these other months, and I still haven't used up, like, because it's such good quality. Well, now they got me forever, right? Because it's a good quality. They always send it to me when I need it. And it makes my life easier. It's literally one thing I never have to think about anymore, about buying. Oh, we got a couple more.
So Brittany is hoarding razors, is what I've heard.
I want HelloFresh.
Basically, so Marisha says, I have HelloFresh on weekly subscription, lifesaver. I haven't tried that yet.
I've heard
but
good things.
I've
heard really good things.
Oh, and Sonia says, I'll get you subscribed. And I'll be one step closer to being able to get that app. Yes.
Love it.
Yes.
I have a client, Fit Fresh Fast, who is a meal prep service that's subscription based. So you pay every month. It's in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
So it's
oh, cool.
Do they do local to them, or is it like I could get it if I wanted it?
Yeah, they just started. They are growing tremendously. So, you know, food quality is super good.
That's amazing.
Reviews are fantastic. They have a fully automated system opening up for franchise opportunities soon.
Oh my gosh.
So highly recommend.
Okay, what's that called again?
Fit Fresh Fast.
Fit Fresh Fast. Well, those are three important things right there. All right. I'm going to bring it up while we're chatting because I want to see it.
Yeah.
Fit
Fresh Fast.
Fit
That's
fast
kind of a tongue twister. I like it. That's awesome. I love that. Okay, so that was someone that you worked with, and they're in Ohio, you said?
Correct.
So that's what I just find that so fascinating. It's like you can do this kind of work for people and they don't even have to be nearby. Like you can literally build like a business changing app for somebody and they be around the world if they wanted to be.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
So one interesting fact about our development team is that, depending on which products we have engineers in China and India and Pakistan.
Wow.
So our development hours are around 16 to 18 of the 24 of the day. So we have
That's amazing.
around the clock
Yeah.
development going just to make sure that we're working faster than a lot of people. So when we say that we deliver products with less
That's so
capital and less
smart.
time, it's true.
Wow. Okay. That's amazing.
Love it.
So how many people are on your team then, did you say?
So we have 6 people total in our ecosystem. Our line of work is a little weird per se, just because of the nature of things. We have clients that will hire our developers afterwards, kind of growing, we ran into the gown town problem. We had a office in the research park and we had trained interns, and by the time that they were good enough to get ready to really, do some damage for us, they would get hired by big companies because they knew how to build apps. And in Carbondale, you can't really compete with that. And you spend so much time training people that, what can you do? So that's why I started to look at, those different sources of developers, but also having US-based project managers, to ensure that, you're not getting a black box, that you actually have someone that speaks English, that speaks to you the way that you want to be spoken to, and who understands that this is an investment for your business, and that, kind of ease that worry. So
I love that. That's awesome. I just love how you can connect with people all around the world now, right? And I mean, Power of an App, can do the same thing. Do you see a lot of restrictions for like apps in other countries? Like if you, I don't know, like if you were going to develop an app, like can anyone around the world download it, right? Or is it like, are things like location specific based on your location with your cell phone? Like how does that work?
So, Rapchat is used in over 150 countries nationwide or worldwide. We are localized in 12 countries specifically, so 12 different languages our app is translated to. And we've hired people to translate specific strings that are used based on like the geolocation of your phone. So you can enjoy our app in, Chinese, Japanese, those types of things. And there are the Google Translates of the world, but of course, would you take the chance and have a typo on a business flyer?
No.
You won't. And it's the same way with, apps too. There's professionals that you have to pay to do that kind of stuff. But, we built an app for the Route 66 Commission in Arizona. So Route 66 is very big there. And it's kind of like it's a big highway everywhere, obviously. But it's still like stuck in, the 20s and 30s there. And, they have an app called the Route 66 Passport, which we developed, and it uses beacons. So you drive by certain places, you get a stamp on your digital passport.
What?
It says you visited this.
How fun!
It's very cool. They used to do it for, where you would just have to go inside to each place and, kind of get a sticker. But you would also have to send money to go buy this book. They'd have to ship it to you. So this was just more accessible.
Wow.
So
I want to do this.
I know, we need a road trip, Casey. That is so cool. I mean, like,
that is so cute.
App, so.
That was on the Flutter too, wasn't it?
No, that one was on the Flutter.
I mean,
I love it.
Pretty cute.
That is so cute.
That's okay. So, what? I know you have a bunch of NDAs, so you can't talk about everything. But like, of your public apps that you've done, like, what was one that just like brought you a lot of joy to create?
I have been playing with this app idea for a few years now called 30 Days of Stash. And Casey, you might remember this because I tried to like build a website version of this a long time ago. But the idea is that every day of November, you take a selfie, and at the end of the day, like every day, it starts to kind of add them together and it creates a GIF. So you can watch your beard grow, throughout the 30 days. And it's called 30 Days of Stash.
I remember this.
That's probably like the quirkiest. I thought that one was kind of fun.
Okay, does this exist?
That one is. I have a few apps that are like not public.
Okay.
I tried to sell that idea to Movember, and they have their own thing that they do. So no hurt feelings, but.
I mean, obviously, I guess I can't participate in this, but I could get me like a fake mustache or something and just kind of have different faces.
You could just like
if I wanted to.
Pause your Billy subscription for like 3 months.
You're a jerk. No.
Watch the 30 days.
That was you think she was a comedian or something.
You could do it. Like, could you imagine like drawing a face on your knee? And then having
oh my gosh, stop.
That'd be so funny.
That anything is possible. See, there could be a crossover somewhere. I love that. So we finally had our conversation about apps. And is there anything you don't think we've covered before we just talk about just like innovative technologies in general? Actually, we're like at 8:52, so I won't take up too long, but I could talk forever. What is there anything else you would want to add about apps for like small businesses and like anyone who is interested in that, or why they should be thinking in that direction?
I think the biggest misconception, and especially over the past few years, is that app development is expensive, but it's not as expensive as it used to be. In relation, I won't quote a rate on live here, but we do work, within budgets on a lot of the occasion. We have Silicon Valley partners because our rates are from the Midwest, so they're very competitive. And the thing is that our rates are fair for everyone. So the developers aren't getting undercut, so they enjoy what they're doing. So the work quality is even better. And once everyone is like, it's something energetically, when you go into a restaurant and someone isn't happy making your food, that food isn't good. If you have people that are eager to work on your project and are happy to do it, there's just something about it that's special. So
I love that point, because when I talk to, a lot of times I get clients who, when we do the brainstorm intensive, they'll talk to me about like pricing. And of course, pricing's it's just an interesting thing when it comes to business. And actually, it's going to be a big topic for next week, so you have to make sure you tune in. But whenever I do talk to people, there's different ways to price, especially whenever you're freelancer, when you're a creator, all these different things. But one of the main things too, that it's just very simple we have to think about, is like, what's that number that gets us to jump out of bed and excited to do that job, And so like, if you're paying your people the rate that is still competitive and it's still accessible for smaller businesses to get that innovative technology for their business, but your people who are creating these are getting paid in a way that they're excited to do that work, that's so valuable. And that's another thing I just want to remind anyone who's watching right now who has a business, is that, you do get what you pay for. You probably could get somebody somewhere, who just, I'll do it for this X amount of dollars, but are you going to get a good product? Are you going to get someone who actually has that history and that experience building these, to not just give you something pretty, but to actually troubleshoot it, right? Like, because I'm sure things happen whenever you launch, and then things are going to happen. Like, it's just that way when you launch a website, right? But like an app, I'm sure there's so much more to that phase.
When you have, 16,000 different types of cell phones out there, and all of them having different requirements for your mobile app, there's always something. So, it's really challenging too, because I have given quotes to websites and for people, just out of the kindness of my heart, where it's like, this is 3 times lower than I would ever charge someone, but I want you to be successful. And, then I would lose that sale and just feel bad, because it's like, you won't accept me for that.
Wow.
But, the reality is, sometimes it's about the price, and other times, I've learned that sometimes when I've had clients go for us because we had the higher quote. They knew that we were more serious, and they knew that, the quality of our developers were going to be senior versus someone who, you can hire a computer science student to go build a WordPress website. That's no problem. But are you going to get a developer who has the marketing understanding, the call to action, experience, the person who's going to drive engagement to your product? And, it's like that phrase where just because it took me 2 hours to do something that should have taken 14, you pay me for that time that it took me to learn how to do that. I think I butchered that, but you know what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying. No, that's definitely, I found myself a while back in an hourly, position, and, I love the job and all of that, but I was so good at my job, right? Because I had so many years in education and doing this work, that one day I had kind of this impossible deadline, and I met it, right? I did a photo shoot, video shoot, website revamp, literally everything. And then it was like, oh my gosh, I didn't get paid hardly anything for it, because of that ability to know how to do the work, know how to do it efficiently, know how to make it cohesive, and it all be a strategy, and that's the other thing is, that's one thing that I really do want to work on educating people more too, is it's not so much I'm getting this product or I'm getting this end result, is there's so much strategic thinking that goes into anything with a brand or with marketing, because anyone can go and create a graphic, on something, but does it move people? Does it communicate what you're trying to communicate? And that's the same with an app, right? There's so many moving pieces to it, but there's purpose behind each piece.
Right. It's about the core metrics of your business. You have to understand how you can move those knobs in order to get the desired results. Do you need more customers? Do you need to sell more food? Do you need to sell more clothing? And you should be able to, essentially I had to find myself where I was at. But you should be able to, turn up that knob where it's like, I need to make more sales this month. So I'm going to open my playbook, and I know that this strategy works, and it may sound a little bit daunting to the people listening to this, but you'll get to that point where you will have a playbook, especially working with people like Brittany and Casey, where, it's essential, because, you that work starts when our work stops. The product is done, then the messaging around that product, and then it's maintaining the brand, that image of the product. So it's
okay. I did not pay him to say that, but I will add, whenever I do the brainstorm intensives with my clients, I follow up with what I call my brainstorm blueprint, which takes all of that information, and it's done in a strategic way that all those crazy thoughts we had can be implemented. And it's been very interesting to me, because I've had so many people tell me that's the playbook of my business now. It's when I'm stuck, I just go grab my brainstorm blueprint and I can move forward, with that, because you have to think about we can't expect small business owners to do everything, and they shouldn't. Like, your passion is your business. You are doing that for a reason. You don't have to be a marketer. You don't have to be an app developer. You don't have to be a web designer. You don't have to be a brand specialist. You just have to know the heart of your business. You have to know the customer you're serving. And you ask people like us, right, to help you accelerate that. And I'm over here, Jeremy, like, I need to figure out how I can have an app for my business. So I'm going to be like thinking on that. I don't know if there is a way to integrate that, but you never know, you know, until you talk it out. I think I bet I'd be surprised at some of the people that have come to you for apps that maybe a person like me probably wouldn't have seen that crossover, you know?
Yeah. You know, we've definitely been approached for some weird products. You know, dating apps, like really, really fine-tuned audiences where it's like you might have 5 users in the United States type of products.
Yeah.
But like millions in South Korea.
Wow.
So weird things. But, you know, like I said, the only apps that really get turned down are the ones that, you know, we just don't think that, like, if something is if you don't have enough funding to make it properly, you know, we'll probably address it, because there's nothing worse than, you know, going in on something and, like, I mean, if you build a house and you run out of money halfway through, there's not much you can do with that house. And, you know, that's why you need to analyze the budget, because if that's the case, you build a smaller house you can afford, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
And, you know, or at least like build it modularly. And that's one thing that we do too, is if we know your vision for your app or your product, you know, like we follow the MVP route, where it's, you know, we're not going to build the car the first day. We're going to build the scooter, and then we're going to build the bike, and then we're going to build the car. You know, so we're being able to move and being able to gain traction and momentum, and not, you know, just require so much to be expected on one specific phase. So, you know, because I mean, just to use that previous example, after you get past that, you know, the scooter phase and the bike phase, you know, you go to the car phase, and your users, what if they don't like your color of that car? What if they don't like the style of that car? And if you start with the car, then you ignore all of that feedback that you got in those first 2 phases to find market fit. So
that's true. So do you guys do a lot of like A/B testing with your app design and things like that, or like how does that work?
So one of the reasons why Packer Labs is called Packer Labs is because we are a research laboratory. I like firmly believe in experiments, you know, whether that's like user testing, product testing. Like, we are not afraid to approach people and ask them what they think of a product, even if it's just photos of something. You know, we believe in like developing power groups for people. You know, so it's like, if we know your audience, you know, like say it's, you know, 35-year-old middle-aged women, you know, and we're going to go out and we're going to find those people that are going to use your product, and we're going to query them as much as we possibly can. And whether that is like, I spend a lot of time drawing apps, you know, like hand drawing, because it's just easier than, you know, like pixels on pencil, is what I call it. But it's so easier to draw boxes instead of a full design, you know, and you're able to kind of start to see, you know, how things flow. And, you know, from there, you know, you can get the idea. It's like, this is an app, this is how it works. And, you know, for most of the time, if you hand someone that and you're like, does this make sense? And if they were like, where's the close button? You know, or like, how do I order from here? Or like, it would be cool if I could see my orders from here, you know, or like my shopping, or like just these things that you don't think about, you know. And like, I mean, a prime example of feedback that I got recently is that we have a chat system in one of our products, and it's usually based on kind of a real-time thing where, you know, it's like you send me a message right now, I look at it, you know, not anything. We've had this feature out for 9 months, nothing. We recently launched an event that was 2 days long, and because of that 2 days, we had users that asked, where are the timestamps on these messages? And we never had timestamps because we never needed them.
Interesting.
And we never would have thought about that because it was such a minute feature, yet people were asking about it because it was impactful for that one specific occurrence. And so we wouldn't have been able to find that feature out, you know, that we've been, you know, we've gotten, I mean, not accolades, it's a small feature, but, you know, people are happy about it because it's made it easier for them to connect.
Yeah.
You know, if we didn't have such an ear on our product and to our customers, that would have been lost. And, you know, that's the importance of like surveys and feedback and figuring out, you know, what your users actually think.
Yeah. Okay, so Melanie Bickett, in full disclosure, is our mother. She says, how do I become a tester? I would love to do that.
Awesome.
Okay, my mom is probably
you do need mom
would be the best tester.
She needs my ideal client.
Thorough person.
Oh my gosh.
Mom, I hope there's an opportunity.
She's immediately going to be like, why isn't this purple?
Yeah.
She'll let you know if something's not working. I swear, like, Mom always notices something that is so like obvious, and I didn't notice it. You know what I mean?
And
okay, there's someone
shout
you can reach out to, Jeremy.
Mom's blog.
Oh yes.
Have you talked about Mom's blog here yet with Melanie Notes It?
I haven't. No.
If you need any advice on gardening, cooking, and being a friend, go to Melanie Notes It. It is really good. It's really good.
Mom, I'm serious with the crying face. We were not joking, Mom. We were like totally pumping you up.
But
yeah, plugging you.
We were.
Yeah, her blog is really good, and it was really funny because the day she started her Facebook page, like the day that she did it, she calls me and Brittany up and she's like, I have 150 likes. Is that good? Is that good? And every single person who had liked it was already reading her blog.
Wow.
Yeah, the engagement is
my mom
wild.
Is sitting at the cool kid table.
And
she's like, I only got 50 comments. Is that okay?
Oh my goodness.
It's good. It's really, really good, especially if you can read it in my mom's voice. It's the best.
Melanie, it looks like there's an app coming your way soon.
Yes, we need a Melanie Notes It notes
Actually, her cooking is by far the best. I want to add, when she asked about the 100 followers or whatever the count was, I was still at like 50, and I was like months into my business, and I was like, okay, Mom, actually that's really good, but just rub it in, all right? You know, it's fine, it's all good. But yeah, if you need someone to be a tester, Jeremy, we highly recommend Melanie Bickett. She will find whatever it is that you don't know is missing. So, and we're serious, Mom. We're not making fun.
She will note it.
She will note it.
Yes.
She will. Jeremy, I am so happy that we had you on for a second round. I just got a notice that my phone battery's dying. So I'm sure we can have a round 3. There's so much to talk about, especially on this topic specifically, because technology changes so much. One thing I would like to talk to you about, we're going to plan around 3. I don't know when yet, but maybe like summer, fall. But I think it's really important to talk about efficient processes with businesses, because I know that's something that you specialize in as well, for people that want to streamline their business communications and technologies and all that. That's like a whole thing right there.
It is.
So be thinking on that. That's something I would love to have a discussion about, because it really hits all types of businesses, from like service providers to product sellers and those sorts of things. But before we leave tonight, I just want you to let people know how they can find you and how they can work with you and hopefully build the app of their dreams.
Absolutely. So the last time we spoke, actually, we had talked about building out kind of workbooks and building out, possible like a masterclass.
Yes.
So that is in the works.
Yes.
I'm very excited about that.
Go, Jeremy.
Jeremy, you just getting things done.
So it's going to be about startups and, the inner workings of it, and, finding teams and building, the proper channels. But in the meantime, anyone who's interested in a mobile app, if you want to comment your email address below, and I will send you a exclusive first copy of our workbook of our app development progress. So it has some app screenshots that you can kind of, go in, kind of draw your own thing. A few little prompts that helps you get to start thinking about it. So nothing fancy, very early, but it's free. So check it out.
Hello,
Good for you.
Your talk. Hello at brainstormboutique.com is going to be in the comments, because I want to copy that. So I love that. Jeremy, that's awesome. So everyone, you heard that. Put your business email down, your personal email down if you want an app, or start thinking about that. Jeremy can get you started. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we will be back for round 3. So we're gonna be thinking about that. Okay. All right. Good night, everybody.